Hey guys, welcome back to our podcast, Show Your Stripes. I am Allie and I'm here with Will,
What is up, everybody?
and we are going to be recapping the last three games against the Tampa Bay Rays this week. It's definitely been, up until today, it's been quite, I would say our offense has been non-existent, like usual, up
Yeah,
until today's game.
those last two games were quite uneventful, to be quite brutally honest. Um,
So, I mean, we look back at the first game was Thursday against the Rays, and I mean, the score pretty much says it for itself. We lost 6-2, so
most of the offense in that game it seemed to be coming from it seemed to be Javi Baez and then a bit of sprinkling throughout the lineup. I'm looking
yeah.
at it here. I kind of like. I'm gonna be honest. I didn't really watch this game to be too full on. Like I kept it on in the background, but I didn't think with Drew Hutchison on the mound that we really had a shot, especially against a team like the Rays, which I know they can be better than what they really are. I mean, they're third in the AL East right now, only 7 games above 500, which is off brand for them.
Yeah, no, I mean, Hutchison, it honestly wasn't a terrible start for him. It definitely wasn't the best. I mean, it was still 4 runs, but I definitely don't think it was one of his worst starts.
Yeah,
So,
a lot of it wasn't his fault either. I'm looking at it here. I mean, you got him to go 6 innings, which I mean, if you can get 6 innings out of Drew Hutchison on any occasion, it's really a win. And he went 6 innings, allowed 8 hits, 4 runs. Only 2 were earned because Javi Baez threw another ball away. He now
yep.
leads the league in errors with 17, which is um, I'm not going to comment on that because if I did, I'd probably go off on it.
Yeah, we've talked about that quite a bit as well. So
Yeah. Um, Drew Hutchison walked 3 guys, struck out 3, and allowed a home run, which I believe let's see who it was. I don't quite remember. It was to Brandon Lau. It was the only home run of the game. And then you had Alex Lang, 1 run in that 1 inning, 1 run, 1 hit. Walked 2, struck out 3. Will Vest a clean inning, and then Willie Peralta coming off the injured list allowed 3 hits in 1 run in the 9th inning, I believe. So
yeah, I mean, it was basically how our games have been going the past few weeks. Just we aren't making up for these errors that are happening in our infield, and our offense is just not showing up.
yeah, I mean the offense in the game on Thursday, you have um Javi Baez was the only one with more than 1 hit, and only 2 RBIs in the entire game. Obviously, Riley Green had 1. It was a sac fly. Javi Baez had the other, and it was, I believe, an RBI single, if I remember correctly.
Yeah,
And other than that, you had more strikeouts than hits, with 8 strikeouts compared to 6 hits. 16 men left on base, which is par for the course at this point on. Um, yeah, I mean, we
we were 1 for 9 with team in scoring position. So I mean, it really shows that we just weren't getting them out, or like we weren't driving any runs in.
yeah, I mean, quite honestly, this is the game on Thursday was basically like a bunch of the other games we've talked about in the past where the Tigers don't show up offensively and a couple of errors occur and we end up losing. I mean, I don't know how much more you can describe it compared to that.
No, me neither. It's basically just how it's been. Honestly, after Thursday's game and Friday's game, I really had a feeling that's how our whole weekend was going to be until today, which we will get to later. But
Yeah, I honestly felt like this series was going to be a wash. That's why I kind of like shrugged it off. And I mean, I'm not saying that it's been a wash because I mean, obviously we have another game tomorrow, and I don't exactly know who starts that game yet, but I'm sure we'll get to it at some point. So I mean, we can obviously take a split, which is honestly that's a win for this team at this point.
and I mean, completely just lost my train of thought. You're good.
Yeah. Obviously, I think I'm looking at the Rays lineup now. We got the Rays had 12 hits and 5 RBIs. So one of the runs was not on an RB was not brought in. I'm not sure what that really means, but obviously I'm sure it would make sense at some point. But um, yeah, they had 17 men left on base. They had 12 hits compared to the 6 strikeouts that they had, and walked 5 times. So they really were the more patient team in the box on Thursday.
Yes, definitely. No, and even it really does show. I mean, looking at just the numbers, I mean, they had a lot of patient at bats compared to us. On Thursday, we had no walks at all,
Yeah, I mean,
which is the complete opposite of our game on Friday. But
yeah, um, I'm just figured I'd go over the numbers for the pitchers and then we'll move on.
yeah,
The Rays had Jeffrey Springs on the mound starting on Thursday. He went 6 innings, allowed only 4 runs. 2 runs were earned, and none of the I'm sorry, 2 runs and neither of them were earned. So both the runs that the Tigers scored were unearned. So, and I believe it was to Yandy Diaz who committed an error. And nope, no Rays pitcher allowed a walk. That is quite interesting right there. Which if I'm looking at it here, maybe I was wrong. Yeah, the Tigers did not walk a single time in the game on Thursday. That is more amusing to me.
no, that's interesting because I feel like that hasn't happened at all this season. I could be wrong, but I don't recall that happening this season
Yeah,
yet.
it
So
hasn't been documented well how impatient these at bats have been, other than tonight, obviously. But like, if you're a Major League Baseball team, you're expected to at least walk once or twice a game, maybe if more than that. If you're gonna strike out 8 times and not walk a single time, you are not comfortable in the box. So yeah, I think that's about all we can say on that game. It was like I said, it was a wash. So moving on to Friday's game, which was kind of a reversal of the narratives that we have been covered in the past. The offense showed up, but the pitching was the thing that shat the bed on Friday night.
yeah, definitely very different than how our season has been because I honestly was shocked on how much offense we actually had coming last night in last night's game.
The Tigers obviously took a 3-0 lead into the third inning and held on to the lead all the way until the eighth, which we'll get into that in a minute, but I wanted to go over the numbers. Riley Green went 2 for 4 with 2 RBIs and a walk. Victor Reyes, 1 for 4 and a strikeout. Javi Baez, 1 for 4. Harold Castro, 0 for 4. Candelario, 1 for 4. Willie Castro, 1 for 4. A lot of 1 for 4 nights here. Tucker Barnhart, 1 for 4. Akil Baddoo, 1 for 3. And Eric Haas pinch hit and got a hit as well. So 9 hits for the Tigers in the game on Friday night. And they were definitely they were there in terms of offense. And like I said, they just couldn't cash in past the second inning, which I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I mean, they had the lead for most of the game. But
Yeah. I was just impressed that we managed to get through a game without an error.
yeah,
That's
that's
I mean,
another thing.
I just feel the amount of errors that we have had probably the past 3 weeks have been astronomical. So I was just impressed that we managed to get through a game without an error.
Yeah. And I'm looking at here, we had 2 walks compared to 7 strikeouts. And the 3 RBIs were from 2 were from Riley Green and the other was from Candelario. So a lot of hitting, but not a lot of RBIs, it seemed.
Yeah,
And
definitely. I mean, and we managed to still only have 1 for 6 in scoring positions, and we left 7 on base. So
Brian Garcia got the start for the Tigers on Friday night. He went 4 innings, allowed only 1 hit, but the big story of the night last night was the amount of walks that were allowed, and it was really astronomical, the amount of walks that were allowed by the Tigers pitching staff last night. Brian
I
Garcia Brian Garcia went 4 innings, allowed only 1 hit, but walked 6 batters and struck out 3, and did not allow a run, which is damn impossible, it seems.
Yeah, the walks really didn't catch up with us until that 8th inning. So,
Yeah, Will Fest, 2/3 of an inning, allowed 1 hit, 1 run. It was earned, walked 3, and struck out 1. So, at that point in the game, with 4 and 2/3, he had 9 walks over that short period of time. And then Jason Foley, 2/3 of an inning, 2 hits, 1 run, but no walks. Andrew Chafin, 1 1/3, 1 hit, no runs, no walks, 2 strikeouts. And then Joe Jimenez had probably his worst outing of the year. He went only 1/3 of an inning, allowed 2 hits, 3 runs, all were earned, walked 3, struck out none as he took the loss last night and also got a blown save out of that. And quite honestly, that was very uncharacteristic of Joe, given what he's done this season.
yeah, no, it was shocking to see that outing because he honestly has been coming in and like closing it out, managing to get through those innings like a piece of cake. So it definitely, I feel like if we would have saw what he has been doing last night, there might have been a chance we still would have won that game.
Yeah. And obviously, and then Cisnero came in to clean it up after him, and he went an inning, walked only 1, and that was the 13th walk allowed in the game. And then I believe, if I remember this correctly, it was the most walks the Tigers allowed in a single game since 2014. So it's been a while since we've had that much inaccuracy on a baseball field.
Yeah, I think I saw that too, but it's just when I saw that final number, it was mind blowing. That is an insane amount because I'm pretty sure I read that our highest amount of walks per game, I think up until this point, was 8, and that's happened 3 times this season.
Yep.
So to jump from 8 to 13 is quite a difference there.
Yeah. You had heard more walks than strikeouts, and obviously Soto came in and struck out 2 in the 9th inning in a completely pointless outing. But yeah, I mean, the bullpen just let us down that game, which is I had a feeling it was bound to happen considering how good the bullpen has been all season. But it just felt like the Tigers just had that one slip away because of the pitching staff.
It always feels like it's one or the other. We either have one show up and not the other. I feel like we can never just get both of them to show up at a game. I feel like that's been our biggest struggle is either having a hard time with the bullpen or a hard time with our offense.
Yeah, I mean, other than tonight, you really can't
Yes.
imagine a time of recent memory where everything was clicking on all cylinders. I mean, there were a couple. Obviously, you had the 2 games against the Rangers and Rockies where they put up an absurd amount of runs, and they put over, I think it was over 10 in each of those. And other than
See,
that, you really can't put a number as to how many times like everybody's been on and in rhythm with each other.
it's just these little games once in a while. It just brings your hope back up. They, I feel like it honestly, I feel besides some of those games, it correlates a lot with these big celebrations they have going on. The more people that are showing up, the more that is happening for some reason, I feel like it contributes to them actually being able to pull off a big win.
Yeah, I mean, I think we can go ahead and move on to the main topic of the pod tonight because I think we've said everything we needed to say about the game last night. Now,
Yes.
obviously, the Tigers won tonight, 9-1. It really should have been 7-1, but but Kevin Cash decided to throw Yu Chang out there for the eighth inning and Scope hit a 2-run home run off of him, off of I think it was like a 43-mile-an-hour curveball.
Yeah. It was something ridiculous like that. So in
So,
retrospect, it probably should have been 7-1. Either way, though, they ended up having a big win tonight.
I'm looking at it here. You had obviously, I just felt like until the fifth inning, the game was a complete snooze fest. Like honestly, I was having trouble staying awake at Comerica because up until the bottom of the fifth, the only hit the Tigers had was an infield hit by Eric Haas, and it felt like Shane McClanahan is just is gonna just dominate us the rest of the way through. Why should I just keep my eyes open to watch this? And
So I definitely felt that as well. It definitely was a very slow start to the game for sure.
yeah, I mean, and obviously they proved me wrong after that.
I mean, yeah, it definitely, I mean, I'm glad I continue to watch because they obviously picked it up. I mean, the seventh inning was crazy with the five runs they hit that inning. But
Yeah, obviously I thought when they put up the two in the fifth, I thought that was going to be it, and they would hold on at that point. But no, they kept hanging in there. Um, looking at the numbers again, you have Riley Green was 0 for 3, but he had a run scored on I believe it was on an error how he got on base.
he got
Um,
hit with the ball.
oh yeah, he did. I forgot. Doesn't count that as a walk. Javi Baez 1 for 4 with 2 RBIs. He was the one I believe who got the runs in the fifth, or no, it was in the seventh. I'm sorry. Um, Miggy went 1 for 4, had an RBI signal in that seventh inning when they scored 5. Eric Haas 1 for 4. Candelario 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored. Willie Castro 2 for 4 with 2 runs scored as well. Jonathan Scope 1 for 3 with an RBI, 3 RBIs and a run scored. I believe it was a sac fly and the 2 home runs he hit, or the 1 home run. I'm sorry. No. And then Harold Castro, 3 for 4 with a double, 2 RBIs and 2 runs scored, which he obviously would be the player of the game if you had to pick one. And
Okay.
Victor Reyes went 1 for 4 with an RBI. And that, I believe that was in the seventh. Or no, I think that one was in the fifth. I could be wrong though.
I think it
Um,
was in the, because that's when he hit the triple.
yeah. Um,
I
but
mean,
yeah,
it just, they, our offense was alive tonight, which is something I feel we don't get to say a lot. It definitely, after that fifth inning, it picked up, and it definitely was a lot more exciting to watch after that point.
yeah, and obviously had something to do with the fact that it was Lou Whitaker's jersey retirement night that probably sparked a bit of the offense to get into high gear because I'm sure they didn't want to send the sellout crowd um home upset, which it was I think the first time that they've had a non opening day sellout since 2016, which that says a lot. Um,
It looked packed. I wish I was able to be there, but I could just tell that it was very energetic in the park tonight.
yeah, it was very. It was packed, but like there was a lot of, at least I was sitting up in the upper deck, and there was a lot of empty seats. At least it seemed like it.
Yeah.
Um, but when they did get up to when the crowd was into it, yeah, it was loud, and it really felt like the first time that the Tigers had a huge crowd in a long time.
It was, I mean, a good night for it, for sure.
Obviously, the Rays threw Shane McClanahan on the mound tonight. He went 6 1/3. He probably should have only went 6. If he didn't go out in the 7th, he probably would have uh, kept his numbers where they were. He allowed 6 hits, 4 runs, all earned, struck out only 3 batters tonight. And then they brought in I forgot his name, Bonus. He went only 2/3 of an inning, struck out nobody, or no, he struck out 2, walked nobody, allowed 3 hits, 3 runs, all earned. And that's when it really blew open at that point.
Yeah.
And then, like I said earlier, for whatever reason, Kevin Cash decided to put Yu Chang out there to pitch the bottom of the 8th when they were only up 6, when we were already up 6, which I think that is the bare minimum from in terms of by the rule book. I think is if you are up by 6, the other team can throw a position player out there, which I find that completely stupid. But I know it'd be only the Rays that would do that, considering how analytically inclined they are.
Yeah, I mean, I look at it as I saw that McLean had entered tonight's game with a 2.07 ERA, and after tonight left with a 2.24 ERA. So obviously, I mean, I feel like we are the only team that could actually. It's just so on par for our team to score 4 runs off of him. He's probably one of the best pitchers in AL Central. Yet, there's these other teams that we can't even manage to get a hit off of.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I just feel that's very on par for our team and how this season has been.
Let's check it here.
I do have to. Oh, you're good.
Yeah, it was the second most runs he's allowed earned runs he's allowed in a single game this season. The other one was his last start against Cleveland when he allowed 5 runs. And to put it in perspective, the Tigers scored more earned runs off of him than the entire month of May.
That's
tonight.
crazy.
He had 5 starts in the month of May, including one against the Tigers at the Trop, and we only got 1 run off of him then, and we put up more runs tonight off of him than the entire month of May in terms of his outings.
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it seems to be the way it has been this season. Honestly, I was not expecting it, but it was definitely nice to watch. I do have to say, though, I was I think I was impressed by Hill's start today.
Yeah.
I feel like this might have been one of his, I don't know if it was his best start, but I mean, he had his career high of 6 strikeouts tonight. He only had 1 earned run. I mean, I feel like it was he faced, I think I heard them say he faced 26 batters tonight, which was his highest too. So obviously shows that he's definitely settling into it a lot more.
Yeah, Garrett Hill, of course, he went 5 2/3, which I think is his longest of his career, obviously. Allowed 6 hits, only 1 run, even after loading the bases in the first. Allowed the 1 run and walked 3 and struck out 6, and the only run was off of Yu Chang's solo home run and I believe it was in the second inning. And yes, it was. And that was the only run the Rays scored in the entire game, which is hard to believe.
Oh, I definitely saw it. With how many jams he put himself into tonight, I really was not expecting it to go the way it did, but he honestly did good getting out of them. So, I mean, I guess there's not much more we can ask from him compared to how some of his other starts have been.
Yeah. Alex Lang obviously then came in the sixth inning with only what in to clean up the inning. He got the final out of the sixth, the strikeout. And then Andrew Chafin, scoreless seventh. Joe Jimenez is scoreless eighth. And then Luis Castillo, the minor league Luis Castillo, came in to pitch his first inning in his major league career. He did not do too bad, although, like I said on Twitter, I felt like that second single probably could have been fielded, but Baez and Candelario didn't want to do it.
Yeah, no, I agree with that when I saw that. But I mean, I did find it ironic. I did see this on Twitter that he is the third Luis Castillo to be in the major leagues.
Yeah, obviously you've got the one that we pitch tonight. You have the one that pitches for the Seattle Mariners, and then you've got the second baseman Luis Castillo, who played for the Florida Marlins from '96 to 2005, the Minnesota Twins from 2006 to 2007, and then the Mets from 2007 to 2010. Who I believe he is the guy who dropped the ball in that Yankees Mets game that's been so replayed after so many years as being like a Mets type thing to do.
Okay. I know who you're talking about now.
So yeah,
I
there have
just
been
I just found that funny that there's been three of them now in the major leagues.
yeah, I think I know it was from I think it was from Cespedes Family BBQ that posted that, and I'm gonna pull it up here just to see what else I can read off of that if I can find it. Excuse me. Sorry.
I do have to say we did have another night with no errors. So this is game number 2 in a row without an error from anyone. So I mean,
Yeah.
I feel like we're headed in a better direction with that. I'm hoping we're headed in a better direction from that because, like I said, it's just been too many lately.
Um, Luis Castillo made his major league debut after 10 years in the minor leagues and 224 career games in the minor leagues. And is also, and yeah, like I said, he's the third Luis Castillo in major league history. So, um, obviously he got the final out in the ninth, and the Tigers won. And now I think we can go ahead and move on to that pregame ceremony because there was one thing that, I mean, yeah, it was a beautiful ceremony, and I'm not saying that it wasn't flawed in any way. But the one thing I found quite hilarious about that was that Avila and Chris Ilitch did not make any sort of they were there, but
On the
they did
stage,
not. Yeah, they were on the stage, but they did not speak in any sort of way. They didn't even present the artwork to to Lou. I don't think they wanted anything to do with it, which was downright pathetic in my opinion.
I agree. I have understanding of where they were coming from, and they knew what was going to happen if either of them got up and spoke. But still, like you are the owner of the team, at least the owner should be saying something. I mean, I don't know. That's how I feel about it. I know that people have differing opinions about it, but I definitely feel it was a little bit of a cowardly behavior.
Yeah, it really was stupid. I understand that you don't want there's like a thing called accountability because I feel like they knew that if they went up there they were gonna get booed to oblivion. And I mean, at least with like Mary Martha Ford or whatever, when she goes up to speak, she knows she's gonna get booed, and she continues on. But
Yeah,
the Illich family apparently does not want to take any of that. They just want to act like everything's fine. And I'm assuming they probably just saw the reception they got at the Miggy ceremony back in May or June, I believe, and said,
it
"I don't." and they said, "I don't want to deal with this."
I mean, the boos were loud at that point, so I can't even imagine what they would be like now with that amount of people in the stadium. So, like, I see from their perspective, I can see where it was a smart idea on their point, but also as a fan's perspective, I mean, it's just showing that you don't want to take accountability for what is happening.
Yeah, it just seemed to me that they were trying to be they just they didn't really care.
Yeah.
Um I mean, if you really cared, you would have shown up and took your beating, but obviously Chris didn't want to hurt his little feelings of him. He probably couldn't take the 43,000 plus or they were booing him out there.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, they didn't even show up. Like even when Lou said like I want to thank the Ilitch family, he directly named Mary and Ilitch, not Chris. So I feel like they might have told him, "Don't mention Chris Ilitch in your speech because we don't want him to get booed."
No, it definitely seemed that way for sure.
And quite honestly, I'm not surprised. Although I wish it could have been the other way around.
Yeah, agreed. But
Um,
either other than that, though, the ceremony did seem very nice, and it seemed I'm very happy they finally got it done because I know it was originally planned for 2020. So
yeah, it definitely was a nice ceremony, and it was cool to see Lou's number up there with Tram and Jack and all the guys of Tiger Lore, and it just felt right to see that up there.
for sure,
Um, Looking on to tomorrow's game, we got obviously the series finale of the series. That'll be at I believe it'll be 1:40 p.m. Just trying to load it up here. You've got Tigers and Rays. It'll be Matt Manning for the Tigers versus Michael Rasmussen. And I'm not quite sure. Let me pull it up here. Man, I think he's just not being cooperative with me. um, ge- it'll be like I said, Drew Hatchesman, who's 6-4 with a 3.06 ERA, against Matt Manning, who's still looking for his first decision of the season with a 3.46 ERA.
yeah, it'll be good to see how his second start back goes.
And obviously we got the news today that Bull Brisky will probably rejoin the team on the road in Chicago this upcoming weekend, I believe is when that series is.
Yeah,
And
I did read something that he could potentially be starting on Wednesday.
I mean, yeah, I did
So
also see that, which I'm sure you'd be happy with that because we've been talking about going to that game, and I'm sure you've heard it in our last pod. We were talking about like documenting that,
yeah,
and I'm sure it'd be cool to see that. I'm just gonna pull it up here, and obviously we probably will know tomorrow what the starters are going to be because I know AJ likes to say what the starters are like the day of the last game of the series. All I know is what I see here is the only starter that's documented for the Guardian series. You've got Aaron Savale going on Wednesday, who has a 2-5 record and a 6.17 ERA, which
oh,
on paper that sounds terrible, but then I remember the last time we faced him, I believe he only allowed like 2 runs.
yeah, because our team somehow manages to not get any hits off of anyone who has an ERA over like 5. So
Yeah, we'll go ahead and like light up Shane McClanahan, but apparently we cannot hit off of guys like Aaron Savali who have an ERA over 6, and it's just a Tigers thing to do.
yeah, definitely.
We've been doing it for years. It's not just this team. We
No.
make bad pitchers look good, and the good pitchers look bad.
Yep, sounds about right. So I guess we'll see what happens on Wednesday with that.
Yeah. Um. Let's see. What I think we covered everything we wanted to say, have we? I mean, unless there's anything
Yeah.
else you want to throw in.
No, I'm good.
So obviously we will keep updating the show as we go on, and we kind of laid back today because everything's been hectic and whatnot. But like I said, maybe we will record some stuff for the pod or the Twitter page if we go on Wednesday, and we'll sure we'll let everybody know when that comes through. Anything else you want to say before we let go?
Just thanks for your support, and we hope you're enjoying the shows, guys.
All right, thanks for listening, everybody. We appreciate it. And yeah, I'm having a problem here. I'll edit